Dangerous Matthew is approaching Andros Island and it is strengthening. I'm Mike Naso from the Tropical Update page here on YouTube with the latest on our very powerful Hurricane Matthew. I've been tracking it all night, as have many people. It has been relentlessly pounding Nassau and portions of the Bahamas. You can see it there coming into view here when we look at the entire continental United States. And it is going to wreak havoc along the coastline of Florida in the next 24 to 36, 48 hours as a very dangerous major hurricane. So let's get right to it. 5 a.m. Eastern Time, the center of Hurricane Matthew is at 24.2 north, 77.1 west. Winds had increased to 125 miles per hour, so it's almost a Category 4 hurricane again, gusting upwards of 155. Very, very strong flight level winds being found. Of course, the sustained winds of a hurricane are at the surface, which is why they cause so much destruction. Flight level, they're always going to be higher, but that's an indication of how powerful Matthew is. It's moving northwest at about 10, 11 miles an hour. The pressure has dropped dramatically down to 944 millibars. Remember, it had been up at about, 963 millibars just about 12 hours or so ago. So this has strengthened pretty dramatically. The forecast is pretty straightforward, becoming a Category 4, relentlessly just crushing Andros Island and Nassau in the Bahamas, and then coming out over the Gulf Stream, and then approaching the Florida coast within, say, 24 hours, and then 36 hours from now be a high-end Category 4 hurricane. The Hurricane Center is predicting a storm of 145 miles an hour and scraping right up the eastern coastline of Florida here, perhaps even making a landfall in an area like Cape Canaveral. I'll show you the storm surge predicament they may be in if they get in that eye wall in just a second. After that, Matthew should begin to weaken and still be a hurricane by Sunday south of Cape Fear. And then as steering currents change, it's going to drift southward. Almost all the computer models show that, and weaken to a tropical storm, but we might still be dealing with Matthew come next week. So this is a very relentless system. Of course, we have all those hurricane warnings up the entire east coast of Florida, parts of South Carolina and Georgia, mass evacuations taking place. I heard rumors that hotels are pretty booked in the entire state of Florida, so if you live in, let's say, West Palm Beach, and you don't like the idea of a Category 4 hurricane being on top of you in 18 hours, then you might say, well, I'm going to evacuate over to, say, Central Florida, but all the hotels might be booked. So you got to be on your guard here and make sure you have everything planned out for where you will go if you're told to evacuate, and if you are told, please do so. Those are the hurricane watches and warnings, as I mentioned, tropical storm watches on the west coast of Florida as well. Now, these are the computer models, and you can see they all loop the storm back around, but remember, it won't be a Category 4 hurricane when it loops back around. It'll be weakening, but still, if it does enough damage in Florida and comes back even as a rainy system, that would be some trouble there, so we wouldn't want to see that at all. But the models are indicating that. Here are the computer models. This is the 0Z European, making landfall, scraping up the coast. This is the, GEM model, making landfall, scraping up the coast. This is the GFS model, making landfall, scraping up the coast. The NOGAPS model, making landfall, scraping up the coast. So we seem to have a consensus that this thing is either going to make a landfall in Florida or scrape right up the coast as a Category 4 hurricane. Very, very, very nasty situation. Now you can see the latest infrared satellite imagery. The sun's not up on the visible yet, so we can't see that yet. But obviously a powerful hurricane. The eye's been popping out and then going away and popping out and then going away. And what often happens when you're dealing with hurricanes as strong as this one is that convection rebuilds and wraps around and you see the eye pop out again. And again, it's playing around with these islands. That could have an effect on the track. You'll see wobbles and twists and turns and ups and downs in intensity. But the bottom line is that it's just hammering Andros Island right now. Nassau, you guys are about to be right under the central dense overcast, the bursting clouds right around the eye wall of the hurricane. Although the Air Force did report the southwest eye wall is open, which is good news. We don't want it to be closed because then it would be strengthening even more quickly than it is. But it is getting stronger slowly but surely, and that is a problem that we have here. The water vapor imagery also shows what appears to be a little bit of a blip there. You can see the eye opened up and then it closed again, and then it opened up and then it closed again. So again, this is going to fluctuate up and down, but it's a major hurricane, almost a Category 4, slamming right into Andros Island in the next couple of hours, and then after that, the coastline of Florida here. There's Grand Bahama Island and the Abacos to the north. You guys are going to be on the northern side. And by the way, the eastern side of the storm, the winds extend out pretty far. Tropical storm and hurricane force winds more than on the western side. Now that could be good news for Florida later on. If the eye stays offshore, there would be more potential for high winds on the right side, not on the left side, which would impact Florida. But regardless, as of right now, that eye wall is going to get too close for comfort, and it's just too dangerous a hurricane to take lightly. There's the long-range Miami radar. You can see the eye there showing up in the distance, looking very, very ominous. You can't see Andros Island, obviously, on this radar imagery, but we know it's there, and it's going to cross over it and cause a lot of problems. The first squall line here is headed in anywhere from Marathon to West Palm Beach, Belglade, Miami, Key Largo. You guys are going to get that first hit of rain. A lot of people are going to wake up and hear that rain just slamming against their windows, and that's going to be very ominous to wake up to, especially with the forecast of this hurricane taking a track right up in this direction. So if you are in West Palm, Fort Pierce, Melbourne, Daytona Beach, you're right in the path of what is a very, very dangerous storm. So I hope all you guys are boarded up, evacuated, have your plan of action going right now, because this is a very serious storm. A lot of people who might not be as, let's say, enthusiastic about tracking hurricanes as others might be a little unfamiliar with the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Category 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 is the absolute worst. Right now, this is on the border of a Category 3 and 4. That's how serious this is. And it's expected to be a Category 4 hurricane at the time that it parallels or even makes landfall on the Florida coast. That is very, very bad news. So, the bottom line, if you live in Florida, have your preparations complete today. The weather is going to begin to go downhill. It's not downhill yet, but it's going to start to go that way as this very powerful hurricane bears down on Nassau, Andros Island, and then eventually the eastern coast of Florida. Points north, keep an eye on it because it's going to have an impact for you too. High storm surge, high swells, and just a lot of problem. And I can't stress enough the potential for storm surge. Titusville, Cape Canaveral, if the hurricane's eye wall moves over Cape Canaveral, not only do we have the Space Center there, but there are a lot of homes, a lot of businesses, a lot of people that will be impacted. And if you have a counterclockwise flow of a Category 4 hurricane, look at the inundation potential. I mean, you're talking 9 feet higher than that, 9, 12 feet, depending on where the winds are pushing on shore, and the Indian River and all these little areas in here, City Point, Bellwood, Indian River City, significant surge, significant water rise, especially on barrier islands like this, and the wind damage of a Category 4 hurricane is considered extreme. So it's still too early. We're going to see over the next 24 to 36 hours the exact track and path of this thing, but it just looks very, very foreboding for areas of Florida right now. So like I said, Category 3 Hurricane Matthew, strengthening, about to impact Nassau and Andros Island. Nassau is already getting buffeted with winds gusting over hurricane force. So the time is now to prepare in Florida and points north, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. Those of you under hurricane warnings, listen to your local emergency officials. Do what has to be done as this powerful hurricane pushes towards the coast. I'll be here with frequent updates. I'll see you next time.